Fuels calamity. Mera owes fuel firms 789 billion in import losses. Government keeps prices lower than landed costs. A story by Suzo Shtete and Ephraim Montari. Indecision by Malawi government on fuel prices has resulted in 785 billion losses, which Malawi Energy Regulatory Authority MERA must pay petroleum importers in compensations. The nation has established. MERA's failure to reimburse the under recoveries has now forced fuel importers desperate to shore up their working capital and keep trading, to withhold 330 billion in levies which are supposed to be remitted to beneficiary institutions. This is a story on fuel calamity. There is an impending fuel calamity that is being brought about due to government's inability to page fuel prices in line with the landing price, or the price that they buy, they import the fuel. So as a result, MERA has a deficit of 785 billion that it needs to remit to importers of fuel. So we have to brace ourselves. We might have an impending fuel crisis very soon. We have seen already truck drivers, is it? That those who transport fuel staging, sit-ins, demonstrations, protests. So that's a story on the front page of the Nation. What we have on the Times. Welcome. Your name? Shireen. You've attended my class before? Yes, Shireen. Okay. What other stories did you hear? You didn't hear any story. Where?
Malawi Vice President Michael Osi urges Malawians to vote for Javier as he says he's development oriented.
Okay. Where did you get that story?
Malawi 24 News.
All right. Read, Gudishani. What's the read?
Movement leader, who is also Malawi Vice President Michael Osi, says President Lazarus Chakwera is development oriented as he is developing the whole country, hence the need for Malawians to support him.
Where did he make those remarks? Okay, there is what we call a read or an intro to a story. An intro or a read is the first paragraph of a story on the newspaper, or a read is the first introductory paragraph in a bulletin story on radio. So a read carries vital information about the story because it introduces the story to catch the audience's attention. So make sure that when you're going through the stories in press reviewing or previewing, know what the read is saying, because you're able to now understand what the story is about. The rest of the story becomes content, more details to the story. Command the story is much introduced in the read. So don't just read the headline. You have the headline, yes, we are taking charge, AVM, that's the headline. Editors would craft the headline in a manner that it should catch the audience's attention. Yeah? So when you write your story, you submit to the editors, they will devise a headline that should catch or woo audience's attention so that they have to buy. When we see it from afar, we are enticed. We develop the urge to read more. Now we've gotten the paper. You read the intro, and have the edge to still go ahead and read more in the paper. Because the read is also appetizing, is wooing, catches your attention. So you craft the read in the manner that it also capture the reader to go and read the story in detail, because you have the detail from the subsequent paragraphs. So the first, the main story carrying the Times today is the story about the DPP convention, where Peter Mutharika said his party is taking charge. So after reading the title, the headline, this story is written by Catherine Mauridi, and the intro says, at his party's elective convention yesterday, former President and Democratic Progressive Party DPP leader Peter Mutharika seized the opportunity to criticize the governing Malawi Congress Party and has said that DPP is poised to reclaim power in the 2025 elections. Did we see any details there? No. Now we'll be interested to know what did he actually say? Where I know the statement, the headline is coming from. So you are now taken into to dig deep into the mains of the story so that you grasp the content of the story. Grief as 8 people die in road accident. It's another story on the front line of Times. And this is written by Blessings Kadewere. 8 people died yesterday and others sustained injuries in a road accident that occurred at Taboni Market in Cholo district. So there is a road accident that happened in Cholo, and it has claimed 8 lives. The accident involved a lorry traveling from Mulilongwe to Nsanje. So there is more details about that story. Second page, UDF NEC to shape convention future. This is a story on the second page of the Daily Times for today, and it is written by Pempero Marimba. United Democratic Front UDF National Executive Committee NEC is expected to meet this week to discuss the future of the party's elective convention, the Daily Times has reigned. The convention was initially scheduled for August 3, 2024 at Comesa Hall in Branta before it was postponed. According to the Publicity Secretary for UDF, Yusuf Mwawa, the NEC members will convene in Branta to plan the way forward. The NEC, we move to the third page. Chakwera in Vatican to meet Pope Francis. A story on the third page of the Daily Times, written by Abel Ikoloni and Tianjani Mambuja. President Lazarus Chakwera is undertaking official engagements in Vatican City today, the highlight being his meeting with Pope Francis. Chakwera being the president of Malawi, why do you think this story is carried on the third page of the Nation and not on the first page? I mean on the third page of the Daily Times and not on the first page. We talked of news values, Why do you think Chakwera's story is written or is carried on the third page? Him being a prominent person, because there's prominence as a value. Why do you think the story is published on the third page and not on the first page? No? Proximity. Proximity, right? What does proximity say? The nearer, the dear. So, yes, Chakwera is the president of the Republic of Malawi, is a prominent figure in Malawi. deserves the front page, but the events that are happening in Malawi at the moment will be interesting to the readers more than the Vatican story. That's why you see this story appearing on the third page and not the second page. A lot of people are interested to know what went on at the DPP's convention, because DPP is a big bad, and the issues, the things that they articulated, the pronouncements by Peter Mutharika, because this is a potential party that might form the next government or not. You understand? Okay? Yeah. On the other page, other stories in the nation, 200,000 more to benefit from social protection. The story is on page 2. And 696 arrested drugs vehicles recovered. Another story in the nation on page 2 and page 3. We move to the back pages. What are the back pages saying? Dave? Yes, headline. Bullets excel. What's the story? It's a story written by Singayazi Kaminjoro. Host FCB Nyasa Bullets yesterday came from behind to beat Red Arrows of Zambia 2-1 in the Confederation of African Football CAF Champions League preliminary round first leg match played at the Bingu National Stadium. There was a football match in CAF, Confederation of African Football Champions League. This is a preliminary first round league. Bullets was hosting Red Arrows from Zambia, and they came from behind to beat Red Arrows with 2-1. Manvai, you should be conversant with these things. Make sure you make a date to read at least what's trending so that you are aware. You need to have knowledge on current affairs. Ascent under pressure after loss by Solomon Manda. Malawi Flag Carriers Ascent Soccer Academy yesterday blew a chance of reaching the semi-finals of the CAF Women's Champions League COSAFA qualifiers with a Group B match to spare after losing 1-0 to Mozambique UD Lichinga at Mpira Stadium in Chiwembe Township, Branda. That's another story on the back page of the Nation newspaper, which is written by Solomon Manda. Nomads Dedza draw. A story in there about the game between Mighty Mukuru Wanderers and Dedza. Back page of Times, Bullets, Saka Punch, Arrows. That's the same story about the game between Bullets and Red Arrows from Zambia. And we have also Ascent derailed. The same story, a similar story to that which has been carried on the Nation newspaper. Mavadia? Zulo? Kuna Rizoda? These are stories for America. What about yesterday? The Nation, the Sunday Times. The first page on the Sunday Times, make or break for DPP. This is a story about the convention of DPP. So the story, the former ruling party is holding its elective conference from yesterday to today. That is what is in the context is in which this conference comes, and how does that make this convention significant for both the party and politics. Deogratias Mana analysis. So there's an analysis for Deogratias Mana made by Deogratias Mana about the DPP convention, and the story is on page 3. Yeah. And another Chagwera attends for the 4th SADC summit. This is a story by that has been carried on page 3, where Chagwera attended a summit in Zimbabwe. before proceeding to Italy, Rome. On the back page, Blue Eagles reach FDH Cup Bank Cup finals and also make them see red. That was a story by about the game that was scheduled to be played before it was played. Because this was for today. Wanderers test Dynamos resolve. This was also a story before the game yesterday. Nation on Sunday, Mary Chilima Rogers Let Habe describes him as a saint. For the first time after the death of the vice president, the spouse to the former vice president, the late vice president, Mary Chilima, made public appearance at St. Patrick's Catholic Church when they held a memorial ceremony for the departed Chilima. So she described her husband as a saint and that Malawians should proceed to devote their times in working towards the works that Chilima initiated. So she said his works would be in vain if people did not emulate his good deeds. What's in the name? There is an issue about a court injunction that some members from Gadama family obtained to bar Paul Gadama, who is an aspiring DPP vice president, from using the Gadama name. So they're asking, what's in a name? Okay? That's the story. So what's in the name? The full story is found on the second page of the Nation on Sunday. DPP paints Blantyre City blue, white. The same story about DPP convention. Daisy Gambami, MTC Chief Executive Officer. That's a feature story being carried in the Nation on Sunday. Back page, Date with Destiny. The same story, sports story about DPP, FCB and Red Arrows. And also the same story, Blue Eagles in FDH Bank final about FDH. Dan Van, that's press review. Mwazi wako siweze tani muda mmanyozi pale. Can you switch on that? Every day. It's very essential being journalists or journalism students. You have to follow what is happening. Adria, what's on the radio today? Radio. Yes. Huh? What is on the radio today? Adria and Bawis. Mune mwamvayani yabwini. Huh? Huh? Today, we will discuss about agencies concerned with the broadcast media in Malawi. We concluded on the on this on the emergence of the Malawian broadcast media. Yes. Yeah? Dave, the emergence of Malawian media, we discussed, we stopped there. Eh? Today we are proceeding with agencies concerned with the broadcast media in Malawi. What are the agents? The emergence of Malawian broadcast media. The history of the broadcast media in Malawi. We discussed the history of radio in Malawi, the emergence of TV in Malawi. We did that, right? We stopped there. Yes. Paka na assignment yanu nobasani on the same. Nonama? Yeah? Sorry. Agencies concerned with the broadcast media in Malawi, having discussed about the emergence of the broadcast media in Malawi. Now I'm a graph in there. I'm trying to move from the light. Okay. In Malawi. So there are a couple of agencies that are so much concerned with the broadcast media in Malawi. Number one is Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, MACRA. Have we heard about MACRA before? What have you heard about MACRA before? Remember Zodan? Eh? Manga media onse. Chai. Mwewa. Mwaso wadu. Mwawan. Bye. Mwadwa. Okay, welcome back. Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, MACRA, is a regulatory body for the broadcast, for the media. Broadcast media, telecommunications, and even postal services. So it was established under the Communications Act of 1998 of the Laws of Malawi. Came into play in 1998 and was established by an act of parliament. Its mandate is to regulate Malawi's communications sector. It has the mandate to regulate everything to do with communications in Malawi. At the moment, MACRA gets the mandate from the Communications Act of 2016, because the Communications Act underwent a series of review. So from 1998, right now, MACRA is using the Communications Act of 2016 and not of 1998 as it were. So it's using the Communications Act of 2016 in its operations to regulate and monitor the provision of communication services and ensure the practicable, reliable, and affordable communication services are provided throughout Malawi. So it has the mandate to make sure that affordable, reliable, and practicable communication services are offered throughout the country. MACRA's mission is to promote the delivery of safe, reliable, secure, and affordable communication services in Malawi through effective regulation, research, and innovation. So it's involved in effective regulation, research, and innovation. Why? Because it wants to ensure that there is a safe delivery of reliable, secure, and affordable communication services. So it regulates communication services to ensure that we as Malawians get the communication services that are affordable, secure, practicable, on all corners of the country. MACRA has a vision, which is communication services for a digitally transformed nation. So that's the vision of MACRA, to see the country digitally transformed through the communication services that are being provided. The primary goal of MACRA is to ensure that Malawians have access to reliable, affordable, and high-quality communication. So its existence is there, and it strives to ensure that all Malawians have access to reliable, affordable, high-quality communication services. Are we together? What is the scope of MACRA's work? Number one, MACRA oversees the regulation of telecommunications, broadcasting, postal services, and information and communication technologies in Malawi. Anything to do with broadcasting, telecommunications, postal services, ICT in Malawi, it's regulated or controlled by MACRA. So the first scope of work is licensing. MACRA does licensing to ensure that operators are operating within the policies, the stipulated policies in the licenses. So MACRA is responsible for issuing licenses to operators in communication sector, including telecommunication companies, broadcasters, and postal service providers. Nobody can just wake up and establish a radio station without a license. They need to apply to MACRA for a license. And MACRA validates the documents, do an assessment to ascertain whether it's very convenient to offer the broadcasting license to this operator that wants to start broadcasting services in Malawi. It also provides licenses to those in telecommunication companies, the Airtel, the TNM, the Access, the any telecommunications company that seeks to operate in Malawi applies for a license to MACRA, and they grant that license after they have satisfied all the requirements for them to be granted their license to operate. Without the license, they cannot operate in Malawi. So whether it's MTN from South Africa coming to Malawi and wants to operate, they need to first of all seek a permission. By obtaining license, they apply for a license from MACRA, and MACRA issues the license, warranting them access or granting them the mandate to operate in within Malawi. And not only that, also those that seek to provide postal services, as in CDS, Speedy, Uncle Courier, those offering courier services, they apply for licenses for MACRA. MACRA grants them license after they vet them if they are fulfilling the requirements. After they have fulfilled the requirement, that's when they are granted the licenses. So number one duty of MACRA is to provide licenses to those seeking to operate telecommunication businesses, broadcasting businesses or services, and postal services to Malawians in Malawi. Tamvana? Yeah? Number two, spectrum management. MACRA is the sole holder of the spectrum in Malawi. They manage the spectrum. They hold the spectrum and also they manage the spectrum. So the authority manages the radio frequency spectrum, ensuring that it is used efficiently and effectively to avoid interference between different communication services. When we were discussing about broadcasting, we said broadcasting is the transmission of electromagnetic waves via the spectrum. So MACRA is the one that has access, authority to the spectrum in Malawi. So it regulates frequency usage by operators in Malawi. Why do they do that? They need to operate, to manage and regulate so that there are no interferences by different communication services. If it's Zodiac is granted 88.8 frequency mode to operate from. It will ensure that Zodiac operates from that frequency. They are sited on that frequency and operates from that frequency. MBC operates from 82 point what? Times operates from 90.0. Pentecostal radio operates from 105 point chakot. Chisobo radio operates from 105.6. That is done by MACRA. Why? To make sure that there are no interferences. Because if there is nothing like that, they say would just cite and there will be chaos. So they manage the spectrum to ensure that there are no interferences between different communication services. Number 3, consumer protection. MACRA ensures that consumers' rights are protected by monitoring service providers, addressing complaints, and ensuring that communication services are accessible and are of high quality. It has the mandate to ensure that what is being provided to the Malawian population is only that's suitable for people to grasp or to know or to be provided with or to be disseminated to the people. So it has to protect the consumers because we are the consumers of the services that the service providers provide to us. So they make sure that our rights are protected by monitor how the service providers are operating, are doing their work. They have to monitor. If there are complaints, you are not satisfied, you've been offended, there has been infringement, you channel the complaints to MACRA and they have to penalize or summon the service provider to explain why they have done what they have done to offend you. If there is need for retrieving or retraction, they need to do that. If not, they enter into disciplinary action and a disciplinary hearing, and then a disciplinary action is taken on them, on the service provider. So it has that mandate to make sure that consumer rights are protected. What is served in the public domain should be suitable for the public and not otherwise. For example, we saw after the plane crash that carried the vice president and 8 others, there were so many things that were being put or shared via internet, social media and stuff. So MACRA, as a regulator, had to come in to regulate what should be made available to the public domain so that they prevent cases of violence emanating from the tempers, the emotions as a result of the so many conspiracy theories that were emerging outside or after the crash. So we saw MACRA issuing statements about cyber crimes. Right now, we have heard of people that have been arrested for kunyoza president. That's a cyber crime. So they make sure that what is made available to the public should be anything that is suitable for the public ear or eye, and not necessarily anything. If it's content not suitable for children below 18 years, they regret that. They censor everything. So they have that mandate of consumer protection. Number 4, promoting competition. The authority works to promote fair competition in the communications sector, preventing monopolistic practices and encouraging innovation and growth. They make sure that they set the ground fair for anyone that wants to participate, to play. They level the field. After 1994, we saw, or we learned, we discussed about the liberalization of the airwaves in Malawi, right? Yeah? Liberalization of the media landscape. We discussed about that. After the Madibade democracy, we saw the airwaves being opened. Before 1994, it was only MBC. As a public broadcaster, that was broadcasting. That was offering broadcasting services. We discussed already about this. Yeah? Now, after Madibade democracy, the airwaves were opened. There was liberalization of the media, or the airwaves, or the media landscape now was opened for all to participate. And the liberalization of the media saw the coming in of different players in the broadcasting industry. We saw now private media stations being established. Yeah? That was as a result of the liberalization of the media after the Madibade democracy. So, MACRA promotes competition in granting licenses to different players to allow them to operate so that there is competition. That's why you would see so many, at the moment, 58 radio stations in operation. So you need to step up your game in order to establish yourself, to have a wide audience, to compete. So there is that competition because there is a lot of media stations now, radio stations that are at play. TV stations, who have seen the likes of Mibawa now coming in. Zodiac, you need to come up with good programs, good content, in order to woo a wide listenership or viewership. So that competition is provided by MACRA because it's the one that grants licenses to all operators. We have seen the coming in of the Speed courier, the CDX courier, the Ankoro, there was AXA, there's AXA, My Postal Corporation courier. There are others that are coming in, providing good services. The reason for that is to provide competition so that there's no monopoly of things. Before the liberalization of the airwaves, MBC had the monopoly in that it was the only public broadcaster offering broadcasting services to Malawi. Now Malawians have the liberty to tune in to any media organization, media radio station that they want, because there are so many options available. So that is what MACRA does to promote competition. Any question on that? Another one is regulatory framework development. MACRA develops and implements regulations and policies that govern the communications sector, ensuring compliance with national and international standards. So, as a regulator, it develops and implements policy documents that guide operations of the media. You have a question? Okay, wait. Let me just finish this. So, amongst the regulations, I think the Communications Act, this is the Communications Act, the 2016 Communications Act, from which MACRA draws its mandate. It was established under the Malawi Communications Act of 1998. So the Communications Act underwent series of reviews, and now we have this. This is a policy document. Yeah. So MACRA develops and implements regulations. These are laws, policy documents that govern communications sector. So we have the Communications Act, we have the Cyber Security Act, we have the licensing. Okay, let me check. So any regulation to do with the communications sector, it's developed by MACRA. We have the Digital Innovation and Entrepreneurship Bill of 2024. We have the Communications Act is this one, which regulates the provision of communication services in Malawi. So this has stipulations about regulations, provision of communication services in Malawi, be it the electronic communications, postal and courier services, content broadcasting, and anything. The Communications Act of 2016. Now we also have the Electronic Transactions and Cyber Security Act. Electronic Transactions and Cyber Security Act, which is an act to make provision for electronic transactions and for the investigation, collection, and use of electronic evidence. We also have the MACRA Electronic Transactions Cyber Security Act of 2016, which is a 2016 document as well. Anything to do with the cyber crimes and anything that the penalties are stipulated in the Cyber Security Act of 2016. So it develops and implements the regulations and policies that govern communications sector, ensuring that all operators comply according to the national and international standards. And lastly, the cyber security and ICT development. MACRA plays a role in promoting the development of ICT and ensuring the cyber security of communication networks within Malawi. Anything to do with cyber security and ICT development, it's the mandate of MACRA to promote that, to develop that, so that it governs or safeguards the communication networks within Malawi. So in recent years, MACRA has been actively involved in expanding access to ICT services, promoting digital literacy, and supporting initiatives to increase internet penetration in Malawi. They have also been focusing on enhancing cyber security measures and promoting the responsible use of communication technologies. So they are anyone committing cyber security crimes, they are arrested. We have seen the Connect a School project right now that MACRA has implemented across Malawi in different schools in all constituencies in Malawi. The Connect a School project. We also, the previous government also had the telecenters in communities. So that was also being implemented by MACRA. Provision of internet is also controlled by MACRA. So what was the question? Monopoly. Kupangira. Controls monopoly. Controls kuti pasamake kupangira. Like muntu akakhaeka, they are able to do anything to control china chilichonse. Yeah? The way ESCOM does. It is the only company that provides electricity in Malawi. They are no competitors. So they can decide to raise tariffs. That's why because there is monopoly of the service. Yeah. Should a certain company come in, there will be competition for the services. TNM and Airtel, they compete to have customers. So that is to mitigate monopoly of the telecommunications sector. When MBC was the only radio or the only radio in Malawi, Malawians had no choice but to listen to MBC because there was monopoly of the broadcasting services. Now, after the liberalization of the airwaves, we saw the airwaves were opened. Now, other broadcasting service operators coming in, applying for licenses, being granted licenses. Now we have 50 radio stations beating the monopoly that MBC had. So you choose to listen to MBC or listen to something else from another radio station. When MBC TV was the only television station, there was monopoly of the television services. Now, after the coming in of the review of the Communications Act, we saw now other television services operators coming in, applying. We now saw the emergence of Times TV. Now came Zodiac TV, then Mibawa Television, then Irunta, Chanko. Now we have a lot of TV stations. They broke the monopoly that MBC had. Any questions on Macra? Dave. It's an act of parliament. The president. The Communications Act stipulates that the CEO Kadad will be appointed by the head of state. So if it's the law that was passed and stipulates this department will be headed by so and the appointment will be done by the president, that's what will happen, or that's what happens. If the law says the head of that organization will be appointed by the speaker, so the speaker has the mandate to appoint that person. So according to the law, the head of the Macra will be appointed by the state president. Establishment of the authority, there is stipulations here. Maswera mazulako wabu inoto naso watu inavanigizika atu we scheduled kuti bwere Thursday so unai class ina ndangota basi we'll meet mawa tereko mawa sonza kaya. So mawa so will come for my classes, my normal classes angano. Yeah, so we have the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority. There's the establishment of the authority, meaning as stipulated by the Act, how Macra will be established. So, enacted by the Parliament of Malawi as follows. This Act may be cited as the Communications Act of 2016 and shall come into force on a date to be appointed by the Minister by notice published in the Gazette. The objectives of the Act are here, and unless otherwise, how the stipulations in the Act are here. The establishment of Macra, it's also here. There is hereby established as an authority to be known as the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority. The authority shall be a body corporate with perpetual succession and shall have a common goal. Be capable of suing and being sued in its corporate name, blah, 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 blah. All the stipulations and how the authority will be operating, it's highlighted here. The president shall appoint members of the authority. It's him. Yeah? So it's an act. These are the laws that are governing the operations of MACRA. And it states that the president shall appoint members of the authority other than ex-official members, and each appointment shall be subject to confirmation by the Public Appointments Committee of Parliament. So the president will appoint, but those that will confirm the appointment will be the Public Appointments Committee of Parliament. If the committee says no, the president will have to make another appointment. So that is cited in the Act. Another question. Any other question? Tamvetsa za Margaret? Yeah? Kufusa fusova maesu mzalembe? Yeah? The Ministry of Information in Malawi. Another agency concerned with the media, broadcast media in Malawi is the Ministry of Information. So the Ministry of Information is a key government department responsible for overseeing the dissemination of information, managing government communication, and promoting media development within Malawi. This ministry, it's a government ministry. It has mandate to oversee anything to do with the dissemination of information in Malawi. Anything to do with the dissemination of information in Malawi, it's under the Ministry of Information. It also manages government communication. Any government communication, it falls under this ministry. And also promotes media development within the country. Anything to do with media development, it's also under this ministry. So the ministry plays a pivotal role in shaping the information landscape in Malawi, ensuring that citizens have access to accurate and timely information, while also fostering an environment conducive to free speech and media plurality. What do I mean by this? This ministry has a very important role or function to shape how information should be or should flow in Malawi. It has also the responsibility of ensuring that what people get is accurate and timely. The information that is disseminated is timely and accurate. At the same time, it has to foster environment conducive to free speech. It has to create an enabling environment where people have to freely express themselves. And also, there has to be media plurality. Pasakale monopoly of the media. There has to be plurality of the media. Warrants or grants media plurality. No monopoly of the media. A lot of media players have to come in. So it ensures that it creates that enabling environment where a lot of media players come in and operate. What are the key responsibilities of the Ministry of Information? Number one, government communication. The ministry coordinates and manages the government's communication strategy, ensuring that information about government policies, programs, and initiatives are or is effectively communicated to the public. Anything that has to do with government, what the government is doing, how government is doing with whatever it is doing, it is the responsibility of this ministry to make us know. Whatever is happening in Malawi by government, this ministry has that responsibility to make sure we know, we are conversant, we are aware of what government is doing. It sets a strategy on how government communicates. So it ensures that that communication strategy is adhered to, and also ensures that information about government policies, programs, and initiatives are effectively communicated. Where the government has come up with the Communications Act, it has reviewed Communications Act, it is this ministry that has to let us know. The Communications Act now it's under review. We are now having a 2024 reviewed copy of the Communications Act. It is this ministry that has to let us know. Government has signed the bilateral agreements with the so organization, agency, kaya country. It's the ministry that has to let us know about anything to do with the government policy, programs, and initiatives as the people or citizens in Malawi. Number 2, media regulation and development. While MACRA handles the regulated aspect, MACRA regulates, yes, but the ministry is involved in policy making. In as far as policy making is concerned, it's the mandate of the ministry. So MACRA now it's under the Ministry of Information. MACRA regulates, but ministry handles all policy making, creating an enabling environment for the growth and development of the media industry in Malawi. This includes support for both public and private media outlets. Anything to do with public and private media outlets, the policy decisions, support has to come under the Ministry of Information. Number 3, media public broadcasting. The ministry oversees the operations of state-owned media, including the Malawi Broadcasting Corporation. It oversees how MBC operates, because MBC is a public broadcaster. It's a government entity. It ensures that public broadcasters operate in line with the national goals and objectives, providing educational, informative, and entertaining content. How MBC operates has to be in line with the national goals and objectives. We have the Malawi 2063 document as a policy document governing the development goals or government development agendas, the government blueprint. So however MBC operates, the ministry ensures that MBC operates according to the government set goals and objectives. And also making sure it provides information that is educative, informative, and entertaining to the public. Information dissemination. The Ministry of Information is responsible for disseminating official government information to the public through various channels, including press releases, publications, and digital platforms. There is the MANA, Malawi News Agency, which is the ministry's what do we call it? The ministry's publication. So Malawi News Agency publishes news stories and everything for the government. So we have the Mana. It has Bomaratu newspaper, newsreader, imabanga release, I think quarterly, and monthly. They are for free, they disseminate. So all that is for disseminating official government information. Go on the Facebook, you'll see Mana page there.